We are India's first proxy advisory firm. And as a proxy advisory firm, we have put together this conference along with CimplyFive and sponsored by the National Stock Exchange of India. So this conference basically brings together corporates, which are the listed companies, and investors. So it tries to explore the rights of investors and the responsibilities that corporates have to investors. So we put together a host of speakers, including Mr. Suresh Senapati, Mr. Krishna Kumar Natarajan, who is chairman of Mindtree, then Mr. Dr. D.V. Narasimhan, who is chief regulatory officer of the National Stock Exchange of India. And then we had a very interesting panel discussion where the panelists were moderated by Mr. Shankar Jagannathan, who is founder of CimplyFive, and then we had Mr. Subbu Subramaniam, who is the CFO of Titan, and we had Professor Narayan Swamy from the IIM Bangalore, and Rajesh Ramaiah, who is operating partner at Premji Invest, Mr. J. Sundaresan, who is a practicing company secretary and corporate governance evangelist, and and Dr. K.K. Srinivasan, who is ex-member of IRDA and also member of the IGRP of NSE. So it was a very interesting discussion on what is the responsibilities that corporates have to investors, and various facets of these discussions were covered on what are the responsibilities of the independent directors, whether the role of independent directors is sufficient enough, the institution of independent directors is sufficient enough. And also we had probing questions of what needs to be changed. If there was one change that was required, what was that one change in regulations that is required? And there seemed to be general consensus that while India has more regulations, enforcement is a key, and so all the regulators and even companies need to work towards greater enforcement of all the regulations. And I, as Sriram, talked about shareholder activism and why activism can be still potent and is an emerging topic in India. And we'll see more and more activist investors engaging with companies and trying to bring about change with companies. And this conference has addressed this need, and this will be a growing need in future. And investors and companies should take investors more seriously and address their needs.
We are a company that's focused on promoting automation in secretarial practice that eliminates procedural non-compliance for companies regulated by the Companies Act 2013. This conference was a very critical aspect as we focused on aspects that can make the companies more compliant. We primarily focused on aspects of governance, issues related to information flow between the company, the institutional investors and retail investors, the quality of board and the duties of independent directors, and more important in terms of the role of auditors in ensuring that the companies are run in a transparent manner, which is for the benefit of all shareholders and stakeholders. We believe that gathering of all these people here together and deliberating on this subject will contribute in some way to make promoting investor awareness and identifying responsibilities of the corporate and telling investors what their rights are, so that we have a more compliant corporate India that is beneficial not just to corporate India but also to the society at large. CimplyFive is a company that was formed in 2014 with the primary objective of ensuring leveraging technology and research to ensure that companies regulated by Companies Act are prevented from any procedural non-compliance. We have a product called BLISS, which is an acronym for Board Leaders Integrated Software Solution. This product automates the process of board meetings and shareholder meetings by ensuring that the agenda is generated, and from the agenda you have automated minutes available, plus the registers and returns and actions which have to be taken from the board and shareholder meetings are identified. In addition to the automation, we also provide an e-repository as part of BLISS. In addition, there is also a risk management dashboard which shows the compliance status of the company. And both directors who are conversant with Companies Act and those who are not conversant with Companies Act will be able to see the status of compliance by looking at a very simple blue, amber, green color-coded dashboard. Plus, when they do mouse over, they'll also be able to see the reason why something is compliant or non-compliant.